Money exposes people. The more money people make, the more exposed they are as who they are at the core. And for me, just being a young girl who always wanted to give and serve and help people, it exposed that. It didn't serve me to set myself up financially.
So who is Marisa?
A person who's survived pain and has turned it into purpose.
That's interesting. So why you focusing in personal growth?
Our whole life is about personal development. We can't begin to fulfill life's mission if we don't constantly work on ourselves.
In all of that, where is God coming into the picture?
Well, since I was a little girl, I've always known God. I think it's hard for others to understand that I've known him since I was a little girl. So I didn't have a designated time. He's always been a part of my life.
You realize that he is there.
When I was bullied at school, I have a really good family at home. And so it was very hard to separate the two. I didn't understand why I was being picked on so bad. In order for me not to go home to my family and tell them about a day I wanted to forget, I would go to God and talk to him. And he was my reassurance that everything was going to be okay. And that was when I was probably in 3rd grade.
Age of 7.
Yeah, it's like 6 or 7. I was young for my grade, but yeah.
You feel that was your awareness in life?
Yeah. When I would sit in my room and talk to him, I just remember I would ask him to help me share him to other people so that they knew they weren't alone either, because I was very alone when I was being picked on and going through that troublesome time. The torture and the torment was real, and I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell anybody. I took it, and I would go and unload my feelings to God.
Because you're speaking about the pillars, spiritual and mental.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people seeing them as different, and you look at them as like they're completing each other.
So mental and spiritual, I feel they complement each other, because my spirituality with knowing God, it gave me the strength mentally on how to face the adversity versus just doing one without the other. I've never done it that way. So I've always had my faith to keep me strong in the hardest times of my life. And in order to stay strong, you have to mentally stay focused on something that's bigger than yourself, because this world will break you. And I was able to maintain strength, not all the time, but most of the time, by having the faith of my spirituality and knowing that life is not just about you, it's about something bigger. And so they both have always gone hand in hand with me to keep me strong and get through the hard.
What, in your opinion, right now in your life, besides your family, is bigger than yourself?
People, having a platform to share with people that they're not alone. This world, it's crying out for their story to make sense, for their life to make sense, for purpose to actually matter. And I feel like if I'm just one small piece of helping people find their purpose through their pain, that is the biggest thing here, is for me, is being able to help share and be a resource.
How did survival shape your identity?
Surviving the hardest times of my life has let me know that really nothing can break you if you don't give into it. Meaning that I had to really lace up my bootstraps and really walk against the rain and the storm alone. And it was very hard. But in knowing that I did that, it allowed me to know I have a certain type of strength that I didn't tap into before the other times. And each time I face something, I'm more equipped because I've walked through a storm previous. Mm-hmm. And so every time I've survived something, I'm that much stronger for it. And I know that I can get through it because I've gotten through the times before.
You're speaking about survival and living.
Every day we're faced with hard things, but there's seasons in our life and times in our life where things are so much harder than what they were before. We've literally feel like we can't get out of our own way or whatnot. And how do we live? How do we continue to live life knowing that we have to face these shameful moments, these painful moments, the feeling of loss, losing somebody? And how do we live and continue living, having to face those? And it's that you equip yourself without even knowing. A lot of the times I didn't even know I was equipping myself to get through these times. I just got through them. But that's part of living, is getting through those very hard times, and then you are stronger for it.
What belief about yourself, survival time in your life, formed inside you?
Survival time in my life that has helped form me into the woman I am today is from when I was bullied at a young age, that I got through that. And that was my first step in knowing I'm capable of getting through more. And that's what's made me who I am today.
The emotional part coming into the picture. And now you play with the three pillars: emotional, spiritual, and mental.
Emotional for me, when you're little, you don't recognize that you're emotional or anything like that. You're just kind of getting through the hard times that you're faced with without understanding. But then you get a little bit older. So, I'd say from my teen years to high school, I didn't graduate high school, and I didn't realize it at the time, but I was learning human behavior. It was more important for me in high school to understand why people do what they do, why people are the way that they are. And that was at that time, I looked at it like just making friends with everybody. I just wanted to be friends with everybody, the underdogs especially. But when I look back now, it was an emotional thing for me because I had gotten through being bullied and going through such a hard time then, that it was very important to me in building relationships with people and understanding people. And so that was more important than going to class. So I didn't really go to class a lot. I made a lot of friends on the off hours because I was off every hour because I was a little stinker. But it's funny that I back then was looking at human behavior and relationships, and that's what the emotional piece was for me. Was I was tied to understanding people. So I have my spirituality, my spiritual growth. I'm growing. My mental growth is happening, and then my emotional growth, because I went through such a hard time alone that now I'm emotionally invested in figuring out why people treat people the way they do, why people operate the way that they do, and how real relationships are formed. So that's where that mental, spiritual, and emotional growth kind of all come together, is around that time in my life.
I love that. So I'll ask you that connected to that question is, what did marriage represent?
My parents are still married today. I come from a family, 2 brothers, me and my parents, and marriage to me is a divine unity. It is something that when you make a commitment to someone in a world where so much distraction, so much can happen, but you stay focused on your relationship, it's one of the most beautiful things there is. It's one of the most underrated things in our life because people stopped valuing what marriage was. It was just easy to get a divorce. It was just easy to give up on somebody and try to find something new. But what's usually the harder thing to do is the most rewarding thing you could possibly have. So marriage was always important to me, even though my first marriage didn't work out.
Why the first marriage didn't work out, in your opinion? What you learned from that?
I used to say it was just because I was very young. I was 19 when I met my ex-husband. But in reality, I knew at that young age that he wasn't the guy just by certain things that he had done. I deep down knew. But we had a child together before we were married. And I wanted my son to have the family that I had. And because there were glimpses of hope and good times in that relationship, I felt that those would furthermore come out later, the longer we were together. And my son and I would have that family. But that was my desire and my hope, but he had other ideas for himself, and it wasn't the same as mine. So, we grew apart, and he just wasn't the guy that I wanted my children to have to look up to, because he didn't value marriage and family the way that I did.
So, what is the best advice you can give to young ladies about what to look in their potential partner?
I would say to make sure that your values align, because if he loved God the way that I loved God, I believe that it would have been a different relationship. But you can't force someone to see the value in something that you see if they don't. So I think making sure first and foremost that the person you are looking to guide you through your life be the man of your household, be the man to help you in good times and in bad, must share the same values as you do.
What did money give you and what it didn't give you?
Money is a tool, and what it gave me, it was freedom. It gave me freedom. I had to work very hard because I was with a man who didn't value the same things as I did. I was always overcoming, like, I didn't graduate high school. That's fine. I went on, got my GED, but then I, worked a 9-to-5 job until I was offered an opportunity to go 100% commission. And that was scary. And I didn't have the support from my ex to do that, but I did that anyway because I knew it could be freeing. I ended up doing so well, so much so that I was able to tell my ex he could quit his 9-to-5 and work on his side business because I was doing so well. And that was liberating. It was amazing to me to see that I could buy the house I wanted, that I could free my ex to pursue something he thought was bigger and greater, and that I was able to provide all these gifts for so many people because I was doing so well financially. So that was the freedom that I acquired and I loved. What it didn't do for me, it wasn't the money, it was myself, was I wasn't educated on how to invest. I was young when I started making real money. So I wasn't educated on how to invest. I wasn't educated on how to manage it. And because of that, I learned some very tough lessons. But I learned that with or without money, you always have the choice to choose who you want to be. And I think that money exposes people. The more money people make, the more exposed they are as who they are at the core. And for me, just being a young girl who always wanted to give and serve and help people, it exposed that, but in a way that it didn't serve me to set myself up financially. I was just more giving it all to other things that if I had somebody show me how to manage it, I could have still continued doing that, but didn't have to face all that I had lost when I divorced my ex.
So, money is freedom if you have the right knowledge.
Yes, money is 100% freedom. And I'd like to add that not everybody wants to be a millionaire or a billionaire, but everyone wants to be financially free. So I just encourage everyone to find somebody who is living a life that is financially free and follow the tools and the steps that they have done so that you too don't have to be a millionaire to live that way, but you can live that way now if you actually follow and do the right steps, and money can actually work for you no matter what your dreams are.
You touch about that you lose everything. So, what losing everything teach you?
I had built so much. I was making so much money that it started to become my identity. And I then was very proud of myself and the car I drove, the house I had, the everything. But my marriage was not healthy and not good. So I had to walk away from all that I had built in that life to start a new life. And I lost the house, I lost my business, I lost my car. I went and moved into an apartment. I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm getting emotional.
That's okay.
But just sorry.
Take a break for a minute.
That's podcast is the best therapy in the world.
Maybe also talk about the business that you started and lost,
Oh, I left everything and I moved into an apartment and I started my own company at the same time as my divorce. And I put in $250,000 and that was going to be my golden ticket. That was going to be what would make up for everything that I was facing at that time because it was something I believed in. But that too, I got into business with a partner that it wasn't the right move. But when you're going through such an emotional time in your life, you can find yourself very vulnerable and almost desperate to have an out or somebody lend a hand that can see your vision. And you think that that is the answer you've been crying for. But truthfully, you make detrimental decisions when you're not in the right frame of mind and also not in the right place in your life to make such decisions as starting a business or anything like that. So I just lost all of it. That was 2019. It was really hard because I had moved out of my parents' house when I was 20 and my dad asked me to move back in with him to save money because I was just spending like at the time it was 24,000 a month in just bills, like business. I was paying alimony, I was paying child support, I was paying everything. And it was just a really hard time because I had the kids with me 50-50, but I wanted them with me full time. And it didn't work out that way for me at that time. So I lost my family. I lost my dream business and the dream of having this life that I had built up from when I was a little girl. And I moved back in with my parents. Like, even my family that's so supportive and so great, they're still married. They couldn't even comprehend the amount of loss that I was feeling with my kids and making the money I was making to start something that none of them, my parents aren't entrepreneurs. And so doing that, they just couldn't relate. So the people that I trusted and loved and knew I loved me the most still couldn't meet me where I was at with all that. So that is where I then found myself. I was angry with God for a while because I was mad that I was left. I felt like I had, where are you? I'm a good girl. I'm a great wife. I'm, just telling myself all these things. I love my children more than life itself. Why me? But God was saying to me, you were made for so much more. And this life has to die for you to become what I have created you to become. And it took me a while to get there. I drank. I went through a really rough time, and these things were things that were so shameful. The truth is that I was completely lost, and I had turned my head the other way from God, who had guided me when I was hurting the most when I was a little girl. I had turned away from him. So it was just like I was setting myself up for more torment and more hardship than if I would have just stopped and just took a moment to face the realities of what my life was so that I could move forward. And I just feel that that's why it's so important to me to share with people and to give people a place to share their stories so they know that they're not alone either.
When you start to rebuild everything from relationship to family to your personal career, and what changed in your mindset?
Once I got to a place of this is my life and I want to live what I've dreamed to live when I was little, and I'm not going to let these horrible things that are happening in my life take over. That getting to that place mentally was extremely difficult because I had to face a lot of things that I didn't like about myself that I had put a mask over for a long time. So there was a lot of self-reflection that I had to get to the place of these were your choices. You chose to get married. You chose to do these things. And even though I might have had the right intention, these were the decisions I had made. So I can either wallow in my decision making from the past, or I can stop right here and tell myself where I'm going to go in the future. And that didn't happen overnight, but it happened. And when that happened, I started to see the dreams that I had for myself as a little girl start to actually come to fruition. It just came in a different way because I took my own path, and now I had to get back on the path that I was created for.
What changed you when you met your current relationship? How you got your family back?
So when I met the man that I love now, um, he added value to my life. Before, I put people before me and put them on pedestals and kind of just tried to work to please people, whereas I've always been meant to go on this path less traveled, and that takes a very confident person to be with somebody like me because I am very self-driven, but I'm also kind of like a lone wolf. Like I don't need anybody to help me per se, but if I'm going to be out there. I'm going to put myself out there. So whoever I was going to be with, I just wanted them to believe in me the way I believed in myself and not take from me and feel like it was about me having the spotlight, but see my actual vision for people and what I was created for. And so when I met the person I am with now, he saw that and he promoted that, and he actually, well, I think he loved it because he's still, but he appreciated that I want big things and that I dream big and that I'm not afraid to put myself out there. And when I say it, we're going to meet people or build relationships or anything like that, it happens. We really do meet those people. We really are nurturing those relationships. And he knows that it's because I really believe that. And so it's not fluff. It's like we're on this now. When I met the person I'm with now, it's not me on this lonely road to fulfilling and helping as many people as possible. It's now I have a partner who's on this road with me doing the same thing. He was doing miraculous things before me and still is, but now we linked arms and we're able to conquer so much more together than we were when we were not together. So it's been life-changing, and he's taken on my children, and I have 2 kids, and he's the father figure that they never had. So he has become the man that I had hoped and prayed for when I was a little girl, and I see it now. And had I not left and gone through all that hardship and learning so much about myself, about money, about family, about choices, I wouldn't be where I am right now. And sometimes I wake up so happy. I don't know that I'm going to live much longer because I'm actually really happy. But it doesn't mean that life's easy. I still have lots of things that I have to get a hold of and do. But the one thing I can say is that because I've gone to jail, I've been divorced, I didn't graduate high school, I've been bullied, I have been a single mom. I know exactly what it's like to just take on all these hats. And if I hadn't gone through those things, I would not be so passionate or even able to meet people where they are at, starting a business by myself, not knowing who to go to in certain things. How could I relate to anybody if I didn't go through those things myself? And now I am more relatable than I ever was. And so it's even more important to me to reach as many people as I can and letting them know that I'm here. If you know me, if you follow me, if there's some way to connect, you are feeling this type of way, well, me too. And I hope that the MCP Project brings you so much that you don't feel like you're alone, that you know you're not alone.
I love that. So I have like last two questions. What is the best business advice that you ever got?
Invest in a mentor first. Honestly, none of us know what we don't know. Whether you come from a lot of money or zero money, you need to have a mentor. You need to have somebody that can show you what you need to do. So before you do anything, before you go and buy yourself a fancy car, before you go and buy yourself the nicest jewelry, whatever it is that you just love so much that you want, what you need to do is put that money in somebody who can show you how money can work for you. So business-wise, get a mentor. That's first and foremost. And if you're lucky enough, you can be with somebody who's your mentor as well. He gets headaches, but I'm grateful.
No, I love when you speak about understanding first to invest, only then to spend. Because
Yes.
in the end, that's I think everyone have that. I can even speak about myself.
I agree. If you don't know how to invest in what's going to further you, you can't plant seeds that are going to prosper if you don't know how. So you have to do that in order to see the fruits of your labor. You have to invest in yourself. And when you do that, it's not buying the fancy things, buying all the things that look so great that you can possibly afford to buy. It's really just doubling down, putting that money into what you believe in. And it first starts with you.
That you wish for that more other people will acknowledge in what other people have been through in their life.
What I wish is for people to acknowledge that God is real. And if he wasn't real, I couldn't sit here and have this conversation with you because I couldn't have gotten through those times alone. And I'm not preaching. I know that there's many different forms of faith and there's many different forms of spirituality. And let me just be the first to say, I respect that because not having that with you, life is even that much harder. So I really hope people acknowledge that God doesn't necessarily mean you have to go read the Bible. God works through people. We are the voices for each other. We are the storytellers for each other. And if we don't share our story and we don't share the shameful times and the great times, we can't connect to one another. And that's how God works, is he works through people. So I would really hope people acknowledge that first and foremost.
If you will able to give one piece of advice to 7 years old Marisa, what did you say to her?
I would say just keep believing the way that you are, because everything that you foresee and dream of is going to happen. And I am so proud of you. What I would say too is not to put so much emphasis on what people think about you. Remember that the only thing that really matters is knowing what God thinks about you, because I put a lot of pressure on myself for people to like me. So I would just say that would be my little advice to little me.
Thank you for sharing today.
Thank you so much. This was very nice. I'm thankful you did the interview.